Hello and welcome back to Curated Blueprint. I wanted to do a sit down portion for this video because I feel like it might be best to explain it in a way that I do on TikTok. This specific comment, Gone Girl, was the thing that my mind just latched onto, and then I used it as a way to tie in all of these interests together. I've watched the movie a while ago, so I'm not going to dive really deep into it because my memory is kind of fuzzy when it comes to the book and the movie, and I'm currently reading the book. I'm just going to give an overall. Basically, it could be about any psychological thriller. When it comes to learning specifically from Amy and tying it in with mindset, the first thing I think of is Amy's intentions. Every single thing that she did, she had a reason for. Another thing that stood out to me was the way she just observes other people. She was able to read people very quickly, and then she was able to figure out how to get what she wanted from someone just by her observation. I think by her writing those trivia questions that she used to do for work and learning about human behavior, her knowledge was her power. She was just able to use that. And talking about that also makes me think of this book called 48 Laws of Power. Learning from a book like that and then learning from Amy, I'm sure you can learn a lot about mindset from the two. I just think it would be interesting to learn from people who may not be the best. They might be toxic, but there could be traits that we can learn from them that would help us accomplish our dreams and our goals and our vision. I think for me, I hate using the word admire, but I literally can't really think of anything right now. But I do admire that she was able to create this plan and be very strategic and follow through on it. She has such a drive behind her. And I wonder, how can we create that drive in ourselves, that sense of urgency or to move our plan along like she did? So I really love this shot. Monday morning, 6 a.m., big shirt, hot coffee, and a good book. I really love that the written part on the screen, it looks like a closed caption that you would see on TV. It would be kind of cool if there was a person sitting on the porch drinking tea, and then you have a little thing that you can write down there. It doesn't have to be a description of what's happening in the photo. It could be something that relates back into mindset. I feel like the aesthetic that I'm going for when it comes to taking pictures for this aesthetic, the country city walks, is a very caught off guard shot. I really like how it just seems like the subject is not aware that the picture of them is being taken. And I feel like that ties into the psychological aspect really well. When it comes to Amy Dunn and the whole planning and observation thing that goes into just psychological thrillers, I really like how this picture is a collage and it has so many different things going on. There's the museum. You can pretend that there's art from the museum, the notes you took of being in the museum, what you learned at the bookstore, if there's a cafe in there. Multiple different things pinned onto one sheet that give me the vibe of the spider web mood board if you're trying to figure out and solve a mystery. Also, other images that you can take for this aesthetic are reflection shots of you walking in the city and you're just snapping a photo as you go. For the interest when it comes to drinking tea, you can always do one where you're preparing a tea to have with you as you go on your walks. What kind of tea are you picking? What's the vibe for today? And then also, I think it'd be kind of cool to talk about the characters in terms of a tea. So if Nick Dunn were a tea, what flavor do you think he would be? What kind of tea would he be? Would Amy Dunn be like Earl Grey? Would she be like a green tea? What kind of tea do you think she would drink? Last interest is learning how to draw. And if Amy Dunn had an Instagram, she would be really good at putting flat lays together. Just because you have to be intentional, you have to observe what product looks good where. I just think that she would be really good at this. I don't think she'd be writing her trivia puzzles anymore for the magazine. I think she would have moved on to flat lays. But she would be so good at coming up with different flat lays for different personality types. And for learning to draw, it would be so cool if you were able to draw things from a flat lay and then at the end of the month, you put them all together so we see the full picture. I think that would be so cool. But you can always take videos of you doing your sketch or working on each singular art piece and then just talk about whatever you're learning recently, the mindset things, Amy, whatever your heart desires. it would be interesting because I think a lot of people just like watching things and then seeing something develop on screen as it unfolds. But how cool would it be to have that full picture of the flat lay after watching someone drawing each individual piece but having no idea how it would look at the end together? I think that would be so cool. So I have a few things that I learned from creating this video that I want to share with you that I want to try to just practice in my own life. So the first thing was really hammering in on living with intention, just being really intentional about stuff that I bring into my space, the things that I allow into my life. And I think the other thing that I learned from this comment was living your life as if you are the main character and not in a toxic way at all. I think just being reminded of the fact that we are all writing our own story. Literally, the decisions that you make are the chapters of whatever your story is going to be at the end of your life. So, what can you do to create the story that you want in your life? Situations will always happen that get in the way of everything, but I think going back to what Amy was doing and making her plan and how she was able to navigate through things that might have gone wrong and how she was able to just, I don't know, move quickly. I want to be more like that, and so that is what I learned from these comments. Let me know in the comment which aesthetics you like, what you would have shot. If you have any suggestions for how I can go about creating these videos better, please let me know. I want to get better at doing this in a way that is interesting for you to watch and for me to go out and explore my creativity even more. But thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.